WWE 2K18 was released on Nintendo Switch in October 2017 to overwhelmingly negative reviews from critics and fans. Some players would call the game the worst game that's ever been released on the Switch, and many critics would agree with this bold yet fair statement. When reviewing the game, IGN had this to say about the Switch version of the game. WWE 2K18 for the Switch wasn't ready to be released, plain and simple. The degree of slowdown in any match type with more than 2 people in the ring at the same time is simply unacceptable. Add on to that the weird audio glitches and an overall lack of polish, and the underwhelming single-player modes that impact all versions of 2K18, and you have a Switch port that even the biggest of wrestling fans should stay away from. In relation to fan reviews of the game, 99% of fan reviews were extremely negative. One fan on Metacritic would say, "This is honestly 2K Games Interactive being super greedy and not giving a care in the world about the level of quality of a delivered product as long as they were able to drop it and get those Christmas sales as the Switch is booming currently." Now with all that said, it does have all the features as other versions, and yes, it could be patched and made fairly equal with other versions in gameplay and features, but for now stay away and keep your attention for updates and improvements. On a side note, I have read that WWE is furious with 2K for launching the game in the way they did and in that state. Let's hope they rethink the license. Let's look at the complete disaster that was 2K18 for the Switch. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when we upload a video. Now first things first, it's important to state that 2K18 was a multi-platform release, meaning that context is key when examining why 2K18 failed on the Switch. Everything that was featured on the Xbox One console had to be scaled down quite dramatically in order for 2K18 to be released on the Switch.
From Davenport, Iowa, weighing in at 217 pounds, Seth Rollins!
This meant that everything from frame rate ratio to scaling and resolution was scaled down by around 50%. So it was clear from the very start that 2K wasn't confident in the Switch even comparing to other releases on consoles. However, that was only the start of the issues. The game was classed as virtually unplayable by many, and there was a number of reasons why this was. One of the reasons was the frame rate, in particular for entrances. This issue meant that when superstars would make their way to the ring, the crowd would virtually be blacked out and the color tone would be incredibly dark, hopefully trying to squeeze in a few more frames as AJ makes his entrance at 10 frames per second.
And he clearly comes into this match in tremendous physical condition.
Yeah, but where is he mentally, Cole? That's the real question. I don't care about how good you look. If you don't have it upstairs, you're simply not going to succeed.
Another key issue was whenever a player selected a match type with more than 2 competitors, the Switch would be unable to handle it, and as a result, the game would literally go into a slow motion, making playing matches such as tag matches and elimination chamber matches absolutely impossible.
I don't know if you're able to see with the video exactly how bad this is. This is literally unplayable.
You'd probably get better frame rate from a flipbook. If playing a multi-man match as simple as a tag match was problematic, just imagine how the Switch handled Royal Rumble matches. Well, when a superstar would make their entrance into the Rumble match, the gameplay would freeze completely whilst the superstar made their way to the ring. This made the Rumble match, just like all the other multi-man matches, extremely hard to play, and this would obviously add to the player's overall frustrations towards the game. The audio in the game was also an issue, in particular in multi-man matches, as the commentary would slow down and slur, and it sounded simply awful.
Kane with a vice-like grip on his opponent's skull. He's back in control here.
Can he do it here? He doesn't appear to be in a hurry to get up here.
I just don't think he has it in him anymore.
And Neville powers out. He's not giving up that easy. Still trying to get back to his feet here. He's clearly in a bad way right now.
Of course, we made reference to the fact that the game had to be heavily scaled down in order to make the game playable for the Switch. As a consequence of this, the coloring of certain things in the game was completely off. This was the case with the coloring on the championship titles. They would appear darker and some would appear completely black. Many players highlighted how this would have all been known prior to the game hitting the shelves, but 2K still allowed this game to be released, acting as if it was a finished product that fans would be receiving. Well, after the release, fans were quite rightly furious that the game they had purchased wasn't up to par. Fans demanded answers from 2K, and all they received was a brief press statement released on Twitter, which read, "Thanks for all the feedback on 2K18, folks. We're continuing to work on updates, so stay tuned to the official WWE Games account, as all official updates on patches etc. will come from there." So when did the actual updates and fixes come? Did they improve the game, or did they open the door for more glitches and more problems in the gameplay? Official patch notes and updates were released almost 6 months after the game's release, and while 2K insisted that fixes were being done from the moment the backlash to the game was released, the main fixes were clearly a massive issue, hence the time taken to resolve them. The fixes were confirmed by 2K, a whole list of them in fact, but the most important were fixed a crash of the title crashing when hosting a game online, fixed issues pertaining to DLC not showing up, fixed instances of Titantron videos not playing properly. Now, although some of the issues were fixed, the game was still filled with bugs and the damage was already done. Players had simply lost faith in 2K in making the port accessible for Switch users, and in 2019, 2K discontinued the online service for the game, meaning that the online playability was stopped completely. Players reported in 2019 that 1v1 matches were still the only gameplay options which were playable without the game slowing down and errors occurring. Why this was never fixed was never addressed by 2K, but it was a colossal failure on all accounts. Additionally, players would still report that they were needing to turn entrances off completely for matches as they still had issues. Players online began to suggest that the only way to play the game effectively was to set the momentum setting as fast, with numerous players stating that the setting of the game as anything other than that made even normal matches difficult to play. Ultimately, the impact of the game is still being felt to this very day. Since 2K18 was released on the Switch, only one other WWE title has been released on the Switch, and that being WWE Battlegrounds. With 2K22 set to be released in the upcoming months, it will be interesting to see if they will release their next installment on the Switch, or they've killed their base for the Switch entirely. Whatever the case is with the future of WWE games released on the Switch, WWE and 2K have a lot of work to do to rebuild the trust of Switch users across the world. Did you guys buy the game on the Switch? What was your experience with it? Let us know in the comments down below. I'll see you next time with some more wrestling video game content.